Cognition is the mental action or process of acquiring knowledge and understanding thought, or understanding through thought, experience, and the senses. A real-world example of this would be gnosis. This is the ability of the brain to recognize previously learned information, such as objects, persons, or places collected from our senses. Thus, there are different types of gnosis, one for each sensory modality, and gnosis, which combine different sensory modalities. Learning is the acquisition of knowledge or skills through experience, study, or by being taught. A mnemonic device, or a memory device, is any learning technique that aids information retention and retrieval in the human memory. Mnemonics make use of elaborative encoding, retrieval cues, and imagery as specific tools to encode any given info in a way that allows for efficient storage and retrieval. Motivation: the reason or reasons one has for acting or behaving in a particular way. There are extrinsic motivations, motives of others, a metaphorical gun to your head, or a boss's rushed deadline. As well, there are intrinsic motivators, that's my dog. Intrinsic, by Waldo, intrinsic motivation, motives from the self, aspirations, and desires and personal goals. Biology has a specific effect on all three of these things. We're going to go through them. Particularly with cognition, we have ADHD. At the root of the name, a student with ADHD has a hyperactive deficit in their attention. This affects how long they can effectively take information from one sense at a time, and before long, the educational stimulus has a diminishing return on its ability to engage the student's brain, and they soon find a new, more engaging stimulus. Learning is a process done through the senses. Whether we receive information through a kinesthetic process, the aroma of a properly done dish, the written form of a math equation, or a note in a song, the information comes in through the senses. Where then one synapse connects to another synapse to make a neural connection of the learned concept. Motivation, our biology naturally sends us through our motivation. Through chemical processes, the body identifies what it needs, and the brain relays this to the body through hormones and chemical bodies. This creates desire. We're going to go over the psychological effects on these three concepts, specifically focusing on classical conditioning stimuli as a psychological concept. Learning. Stimuli is used as a marker for the brain to learn and understand. So stimuli is merely just something that you've learned very quickly. Cognition is a stimuli, cognition, and the effects of classical conditioning stimuli on this. Stimuli can be rearranged so that one stimulus provides the organism with information concerning the occurrence of another stimulus. This kind of goes into how the brain plays with each other with all these different stimuli. Motivation. When using classical conditioning, a stimulus can be considered a motivator. These all tie together. Learning is a cognitive function, and it's used to use knowledge or effectively gain knowledge requires motivation. Sleeping, the effect this has on these three. REM and non-REM sleep are rigorously regulated. This is for cognition, seeing how the brain affects with sleep. When either was prevented by instrumental awakenings, the participants' sleep intensified so as to restore the losses. So this is saying that when someone was losing sleep, their brain created, with a mechanism it already has in place, intensified sleep after a loss of sleep occurred, or a loss of sleep happened. The sleep effect on motivation. Obviously, people, like other animals, seek to satisfy physical needs such as needs for food, water, sleep, and sex. Sleep is just a motivation. It's a thing that you really, really like to do when you want to do it. Learning. So for adequate sleep is required for the body and mind to repair and replenish energy. Sleep deprivation can therefore have a negative effect on the cognitive capacity of the brain to learn. It's kind of funny to talk about cognition and learning all at the same time since they're also similar, but for the learning process, if sleep is deprived, anything that you're going to do as far as learning goes is going to be hindered. Here are all of my sources. Thank you very much. I hope you liked the presentation.